The Galactic Academy buzzed with excitement as students from various planets shuffled into the classroom, their vibrant colors and exotic features creating a kaleidoscope of diversity. At the front of the room stood Professor Zara Lane, her human presence strikingly ordinary yet captivating. Clad in a simple, earth-tone jumpsuit, she radiated a mix of confidence and warmth. The holographic display behind her flickered to life, showcasing the title of her course, The Venomous Creatures of Earth. Adaptation and Survival. Zara smiled at her students, noting the nervous glances exchanged among them. This was no ordinary class. It was an exploration into the heart of one of the universe's most dangerous environments, Earth, a death world. The term resonated uneasily with the diverse beings in the room. To many, a death world was synonymous with death and destruction, a place to be avoided at all costs. Welcome, everyone. I'm Professor Lane, and I'm thrilled to guide you through the fascinating and often misunderstood world of Earth's venomous creatures, she began, her voice melodic but firm. The Ilothian student, tall and imposing with sleek, iridescent skin, snorted dismissively. What's so special about a bunch of overgrown insects and reptiles? We've got far more dangerous creatures on Iloth. Zara raised an eyebrow, but chose not to rise to the bait. Instead, she clicked through her presentation, revealing a stunning image of a vibrant blue poison dart frog. Let's start with this little guy. Beautiful, isn't he? But incredibly deadly. The point of this class is not to scare you. It's to understand how these creatures have adapted to survive in such a hostile environment. As the slides continued, she showcased a range of venomous beings, snakes with intricate patterns, spiders weaving deadly traps, and jellyfish floating through the oceans. The reactions varied widely. Some students were visibly entranced while others recoiled in horror. The Quarixian, small and delicate with a translucent skin that glimmered, whispered anxiously to a friend. Suddenly, a power outage plunged the room into darkness. Gasps echoed through the classroom, and panic set in. Zara, however, maintained her composure, projecting her voice to calm the room. All right, everyone, deep breaths. This is just a momentary glitch. Let's think like a predator here. Stay calm and alert. In the pitch blackness, Zara felt the tension shift. Students began to focus on her voice, hanging on her every word. In the wild, many creatures thrive in darkness. It's not about what you can see. It's about how you react. A low hum of curiosity replaced the panic. After a tense moment, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating the room once more. Zara seized the opportunity. Now, who can tell me about a time they faced a fear? Hesitant hands rose as students shared their stories. The Ilothian, who had scoffed earlier, spoke of navigating treacherous landscapes filled with predators on his home world. The Quarixian shyly admitted to being terrified of a particularly nasty bug that could paralyze his prey. As the discussion deepened, Zara noticed the initial walls between her students beginning to crumble. They were bonding over shared vulnerabilities, recognizing that fear was universal, whether from venomous beasts or the unknown. With the class winding down, Zara concluded, in the coming weeks, we will learn not just about these creatures, but also about our own fears and how they shape us. Understanding venomous creatures isn't about fear. It's about respect for life in all its forms. As the bell rang, signaling the end of class, Zara felt a spark of hope. She could sense that beneath the surface, her students were beginning to see the world, and each other, differently. The following day, Zara walked into the classroom with a sense of excitement mixed with trepidation. She could still feel the afterglow of yesterday's breakthrough. Her students were beginning to engage, but would they carry that momentum forward? As they filed in, the chatter was noticeably louder, a stark contrast to the previous day's apprehension. Students took their seats, and Zara sensed a buzz of anticipation in the air. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we'll dive deeper into the biology of venomous creatures, Zara announced, her enthusiasm palpable. She activated the holographic display, revealing the title of the day's lecture. Venom, Nature's Poisonous Marvel. The screen shifted to a vibrant image of a majestic king cobra, its hood raised, and students leaned forward, some mouths agape in awe. Zara's voice resonated with energy. Venom serves various functions: defense, predation, and even communication. Each creature has evolved its venom to suit its environment. She shared fascinating facts about the king cobra's neurotoxic venom, illustrating its lethal potency against both prey and predators. The Quarixian, visibly fascinated, raised a hand. But how can a creature like that survive among its own kind? Aren't they at risk of being poisoned themselves? Great question, Zora replied, her eyes sparkling. It's all about adaptation. Many venomous creatures have developed behaviors that prevent self-harm, such as specific mating rituals or territorial disputes that minimize risk. As she spoke, Zora noticed the Lilothian's growing impatience. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed defiantly. This is all very interesting, but can we move on to creatures that are actually dangerous? I want to hear about the real threats, not just these reptiles. Zora met his gaze, refusing to be intimidated. Understanding how these creatures function is crucial to appreciating their role in their ecosystems. Danger isn't just about size or ferocity, it's about balance. She clicked to the next slide, revealing a picture of a box jellyfish, its translucent body gliding gracefully through the water. The image elicited a collective gasp. This beauty here, Zora said, is one of the most venomous creatures on Earth. Its tentacles can deliver a sting that's excruciatingly painful, often fatal to humans. Yet it plays a vital role in marine ecosystems, maintaining population balances. The Vexari, with its sleek, luminous skin, shifted in its seat, intrigued. What about the adaptations of the prey? How do they survive such threats? Zara smiled, thrilled by the engagement. Excellent point. Many species have evolved remarkable defenses. For example, some fish develop mutualistic relationships with cleaner shrimp that help them spot and evade predators. The circle of life is intricate and fascinating. However, just as the class was hitting its stride, a loud crash echoed from the hallway. The door swung open, and a frantic technician burst in, sweat glistening on his brow. Professor Lane, we've got an emergency in the biodome. One of the enclosures has malfunctioned. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Students exchanged alarmed glances, the Ilothian's bravado fading. What kind of malfunction? He demanded, his voice edged with urgency. An enclosure containing several venomous snakes is compromised. We need all hands on deck, the technician urged. Zora's heart raced, but she maintained her composure. All right, everyone, let's move quickly and safely. This is a real-life lesson in managing fear and understanding these creatures. As the class filed out, Zora led them into the chaos of the biodome, adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was not the classroom scenario she had envisioned, but it was the perfect opportunity to test their knowledge and instincts. The students' earlier bravado would be put to the test in a way they had never imagined. Would they rise to the occasion or succumb to their fears? As they rushed into the biodome, a sprawling glass structure that mimicked Earth's diverse ecosystems, the air was thick with tension. Zora quickly assessed the situation. A small crowd had gathered near the containment area, their voices a mix of excitement and apprehension. The technician pointed toward an enclosure where several snakes slithered freely, some poised in defensive postures, while others explored their newfound freedom. Stay calm, Zora called, rallying her students. We'll need to work together to secure the area. Remember, understanding these creatures is key to managing the situation. The Ilothian, still brimming with bravado, stepped forward. I've dealt with predators on my planet. This will be easy. But the bravado faded when he noticed the snakes flicking their tongues, tasting the air. The Quarixian's eyes widened, fear evident on its delicate face. Let's form teams, Zara instructed. We'll use our knowledge to guide our approach. Quarixian, you're with me. Iluthian, Vexari, you'll work together to help direct the snakes back toward their enclosure. Move cautiously. As they approached the enclosure, the Quarixian hesitated, its small body trembling. What if they strike? It whispered, its voice quaking. Zara knelt down to meet the creature's gaze. Remember what we learned. These snakes don't want to harm us. They're more afraid than we are. Focus on their behavior. Watch how they react. With a deep breath, the Quarixian nodded, emboldened by Zora's reassurance. Together, they carefully approached the snakes. Zara used her knowledge of animal behavior to identify a path that would allow them to gently guide the snakes back without provoking them. Meanwhile, the Iluthian and Vexari moved in tandem, trying to coax the other snakes toward the containment area. This is ridiculous. The Iluthian grumbled as a particularly stubborn snake coiled defiantly. They should know better than to escape. Remember, Vexari said, its voice calm and steady. They're just responding to their instincts. We need to be patient. With a renewed sense of teamwork, they created a barrier using nearby equipment, slowly pushing the snakes toward their enclosure. The snakes, sensing the change in environment, began to move in the right direction, albeit hesitantly. As they worked, Zara kept an eye on the Quarixian, who was now focused and alert. "See, you're doing great," she encouraged, watching as the creature identified the patterns of movement in one particularly large snake. It had begun to mimic its movements, slowly leading it back toward safety. "Just a little closer," Zara urged, her heart racing. "You've got this." With a final, gentle nudge from the Quarixian, the snake slipped back into the enclosure, and cheers erupted from the gathered crowd. The Iluthian, now visibly impressed, turned to the Quarixian, extending a hand. "That was actually impressive. You're braver than I thought." As the last of the snakes was corralled, Zara felt a swell of pride for her students. They had overcome their fears and worked together seamlessly. This is a perfect example of how understanding and collaboration can help us navigate dangerous situations, she declared. Once the chaos subsided and the technicians secured the biodome, Zara gathered her students. Today wasn't just about snakes. It was about facing our fears and learning from one another. "How do you feel now compared to when you first walked in?" The Quarixian beamed. "I feel like I can handle more than I thought. I actually enjoy that." The Iluthian nodded, his expression softer. "Yeah, I guess danger isn't just about being scared. It's also about understanding." As they walked back to class, Zora couldn't help but smile. Today had transformed her students in ways she hadn't anticipated. They were beginning to see the value in each other, learning that fear could be faced, and that even the most venomous creatures had their place in the tapestry of life. After the adrenaline rush of the biodome incident, Zara led her students back to the classroom, where the atmosphere was charged with a mix of relief and exhilaration. As they settled in, Zara noticed a newfound camaraderie among them. The Iluthian, previously aloof, shared a knowing glance with the Quarixian, who now wore an expression of quiet confidence. "Today was a true test of our abilities," Zara began, her tone serious yet encouraging. "We faced real danger, and you all rose to the challenge. But let's talk about what we learned from that experience." As discussions unfolded, students eagerly shared their thoughts. The Iluthian spoke up first, his voice steadier than before. "I never thought I'd say this, but I actually found the snakes fascinating. I could see their intelligence in how they moved." The Vexari nodded in agreement. "Yes, observing their behavior helped me realize they're not just mindless beasts. They're adaptive creatures, just like us." Encouraged by the enthusiasm, Zora guided the conversation. "Exactly. Understanding behavior is key in biology. Today we learned that fear often clouds our perception. It's our responsibility to look beyond that fear." Just then, a soft beeping interrupted the discussion. Zara's communicator blinked to life, displaying an alert from the biodome. Attention! A containment breach has been detected. All students must evacuate the area immediately. Panic surged through the room, and students exchanged nervous glances. What's happening? The Quarixian whispered, its earlier confidence evaporating. Stay calm, Zara instructed, her voice firm but calm. This could be a drill or a malfunction. We need to be prepared. As the announcement continued, Zara took charge, leading the students toward the exit. We've faced fear already today, and we can do it again. We need to regroup and ensure everyone is accounted for. Let's head to the main control room. Navigating the corridors, they encountered chaos. Technicians scurrying about, alarms blaring, and holographic displays flashing warnings. Zara's heart raced, but she focused on maintaining order. Remember our lesson on animal behavior. We need to assess the situation calmly. They reached the control room, a central hub bustling with activity. What's going on? Zara demanded, turning to a technician who was frantically typing on a console. There's been a malfunction in the containment systems, the technician replied, breathless. Several enclosures are compromised, including those housing venomous species. We need to contain the situation before it escalates. Zara quickly organized her students. We've learned about teamwork and managing fear. Now we can apply that knowledge. We need to split up. Ilothian and Vexari, you two take the main corridor and guide anyone near the breach back to safety. Quarixian, you're with me. We'll head toward the eastern wing where the most dangerous creatures are housed. As they moved, the Ilothian turned to Zara, a glimmer of determination in his eyes. Let's make sure no one gets hurt. I'll use my size to help contain anything that gets out of hand. Good thinking, Zara replied, impressed by the shift in his demeanor. Reaching the eastern wing, Zara and the Quarixian encountered a group of students near the entrance. Panic etched on their faces. You can't go in there. It's too dangerous, one of them exclaimed. Listen, Zara said, her voice cutting through the fear. We need to secure the area. It's crucial that we don't let fear dictate our actions. Follow my lead, and we can safely observe and manage the situation. With the Quarixian by her side, Zara stepped forward. They spotted a large enclosure where a venomous lizard was partially outside its habitat, its scales shimmering under the fluorescent lights. We need to coax it back inside, Zara said. Stay calm, and remember what we practiced. The Quarixian nodded, and together they began to guide the lizard using a combination of gentle movements and calming sounds. See, it responds to our presence, Zara whispered, her heart racing but her focus unwavering. As they worked, the sound of the alarms faded into the background, replaced by a sense of purpose and unity among the students. They were no longer just terrified individuals. They were a team facing a challenge together, each contributing their strengths to manage the chaos. As the adrenaline of the emergency began to fade, Zara and her students found themselves in the aftermath of the containment breach, adrenaline slowly ebbing. They successfully managed to guide the venomous lizard back into its enclosure, and the chaotic energy in the biodome shifted to one of relief and accomplishment. The tension that had gripped them moments earlier began to dissipate. Zara gathered everyone outside the biodome, where the air felt cool and calming. Great job, everyone. You faced some serious challenges today, and you handled them admirably. But now we need to talk about what just happened. The students formed a circle, their expressions a mix of exhilaration and exhaustion. The Ilothian spoke first, his voice steady. I thought I knew what fear was. I faced predators on my home world, but this was different. It felt more real, more personal. Zara nodded, appreciating his vulnerability. What you felt today was a natural response. Fear is a powerful emotion, one that can paralyze or motivate us. But what we experienced was also a learning moment. We need to confront our fears, not just run from them. The Quarixian, now visibly more confident, raised its hand. I realized that understanding the creatures we fear makes a difference. When I watched you work with the lizard, I saw it as more than just a threat. It's a part of the ecosystem. Exactly, Zora exclaimed, feeling a swell of pride. Understanding isn't just about knowledge, it's about empathy. When we understand why a creature behaves a certain way, we can better navigate our interactions with it. The Vexari chimed in, enthusiasm evident in its luminous features. I've always thought of fear as something to avoid, but now I see it can be a guide. It led us to act and adapt, to think on our feet. The Ilothian nodded, a newfound respect evident in his eyes. I get it now. It's about transforming fear into a strength, rather than letting it control us. Zara smiled, sensing a shift in her students' perspectives. That's right. Fear can be a tool, not just an obstacle. It helps us evaluate risks and can foster teamwork when faced together. As we continue this course, I encourage you to explore what makes you uncomfortable and challenge those fears. Just then, an alarm buzzed on Zora's communicator. It was a message from the Academy's head administrator. Professor Lane, we need to commend your students for their bravery during the incident. We're considering highlighting their teamwork in a presentation next week. Zora beamed at her students. Looks like your hard work is being recognized. We'll prepare for that presentation together. Excitement rippled through the group, and they began discussing ideas for their presentation. As they brainstormed, Zara took a moment to reflect on their progress. They had transformed from uncertain individuals into a cohesive team, ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. Over the next few days, they immersed themselves in research, exploring not just venomous creatures, but also the biological adaptations that allowed them to thrive in harsh environments. They learned about how various species develop defenses, mimicking behavior patterns and building resilience against the dangers of their worlds. As the presentation day approached, Zara noticed a palpable shift in her students. The Ilothian, once dismissive, took the lead in crafting a segment on the ecological roles of venomous creatures. The Quarexian contributed insights into how fear influences animal behavior, while the Vexari designed engaging visuals to accompany their findings. On presentation day, they stood before a larger audience, their confidence palpable. The Ilothian addressed the crowd, his voice steady and authoritative. What we learned about venomous creatures isn't just about danger. It's about balance and respect within ecosystems. We discovered that fear can lead to understanding rather than avoidance. Zara watched with pride as her students flourished, each presenting their ideas with conviction. They had transformed their fear into knowledge and connection, and in that moment, she knew they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, not just in the classroom, but in the galaxy beyond. With their successful presentation behind them, Zora's students felt a newfound sense of unity and purpose. The applause from their peers and faculty had ignited a spark, fueling their enthusiasm for the course. As they left the auditorium, the buzz of excitement lingered in the air, and students eagerly exchanged ideas for future projects. "Can you believe how well we did?" the Quarexian exclaimed, its eyes shimmering with joy. "I didn't think I could stand in front of that many beings and speak confidently." "Neither did I," admitted the Ilothian, his tone genuinely impressed. "It turns out, understanding the subject made all the difference. I felt like I was representing something bigger than just myself." As they walked through the Academy's corridors, Zora noticed a subtle shift in their dynamics. The once divided group was becoming a tight-knit team, with members supporting each other and celebrating each other's strengths. Encouraged by this camaraderie, she decided to capitalize on their momentum. "All right, team," Zora called, gathering their attention. "Let's take this energy and channel it into our next project. How about we dive deeper into interspecies communication? There's so much we can learn from each other's biology, especially in how different species adapt to their environments." The Vexari's luminescent skin flickered with excitement. "That sounds amazing. We could study not just how venomous creatures communicate, but how different species on our planets do it too. Imagine creating a cross-species communication framework. Great idea, Zara replied, thrilled by the enthusiasm. We can compare the signals and behaviors of different creatures and explore how they convey danger or attraction. Over the next week, the students worked diligently, researching various forms of communication: visual signals, pheromones, vocalizations, and even electrical impulses. They found ways to incorporate their homeworld's unique creatures into their studies, sharing insights that transcended species barriers. However, as they prepared their findings, they realized they needed a field study to enhance their research. We should observe some of these creatures in their natural habitats, suggested the Quarictian, its earlier timidity long gone. We can see how they communicate and adapt in real time. Excellent suggestion, Zara agreed. I'll arrange a field trip to the bioreserve on campus. It's a controlled environment, home to various creatures from different planets, including some venomous ones. The day of the field trip arrived, and excitement buzzed through the group as they boarded the transport pod. Zara briefed them on safety protocols, emphasizing the importance of understanding each creature's behavior before attempting to engage. Remember, this is about observation, not interference. Our goal is to learn. Once they arrived at the bioreserve, they split into smaller groups, each tasked with observing a specific creature. The Quarictian and Zara approached a stunning, color-shifting octopus, known for its unique communication methods through color and texture changes. As they watched, the octopus extended its tentacles, changing hues in what seemed to be a display of both warning and invitation. The Quarictian recorded notes, its enthusiasm palpable. It's like a living canvas. Look how it interacts with the environment. Its colors change based on what it perceives as safe or threatening. Meanwhile, the Ilothian and Vexari observed a pair of venomous snakes, carefully noting their body language as they intertwined. They're communicating through their movements, the Ilothian noted, captivated. Each flick of their tongue is a signal, a subtle dance of dominance and submission. As the day unfolded, they shared their observations and insights, each group learning from the other's findings. By the end of the trip, they gathered under a sprawling tree in the reserve, their minds buzzing with ideas and revelations. I never thought I'd be so invested in creatures I used to fear, the Ilothian admitted, looking around at his classmates. I think we're all becoming unexpected allies in this study. Zara smiled at the collective growth she had witnessed. That's precisely the point. Understanding transcends fear and builds alliances, whether between species or individuals. Let's continue to explore these connections and challenge our perspectives. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the bioreserve, Zara felt a sense of fulfillment. Her students had not only confronted their fears, but were now embracing the diversity of life and the power of collaboration. Together, they were becoming pioneers of understanding in an ever-expanding galaxy. With their field study complete, Zara and her students returned to the classroom buzzing with ideas and newfound camaraderie. They had gathered an impressive amount of data on interspecies communication, but Zara knew the next step would be critical in solidifying their learning. "All right, everyone," she said, clapping her hands to capture their attention. "Now that we've observed these amazing creatures in their natural habitats, it's time for us to put our knowledge to the test. I propose a challenge. Let's design a simulation that explores interspecies communication. We'll create environments and scenarios where different creatures must navigate their interactions." The students exchanged excited glances, their competitive spirits ignited. "We could use holographic technology to recreate various habitats," the Quarictian suggested. "That way, we can simulate how different creatures adapt their communication based on their environment." "Great idea," Zara replied. "We can incorporate elements like light, sound, and even pheromones to enhance the realism of the simulation." The Ilothian, now fully engaged, chimed in. "And we can use our knowledge of venomous creatures to add a layer of complexity. For instance, we can create scenarios where one creature must avoid becoming prey while trying to communicate with another." As the planning session unfolded, the students broke into teams, each focused on designing specific habitats and challenges. The energy in the room was palpable. Laughter and animated discussions filled the air as they brainstormed how to integrate their observations into the simulation. However, as they dove deeper into the project, Zura noticed that some students were struggling to keep up with the technical demands of the holographic system. The Vexari, typically confident, looked frustrated as it attempted to manipulate the software. "This is harder than I thought. I'm not sure I can do this." "Don't worry," Zura encouraged, stepping forward. "This is a learning experience for all of us. Let's collaborate. Each of us has strengths that can complement one another." The Ilothian, overhearing their conversation, offered a reassuring smile. "I can help with the technical aspects. I'd spent some time working on programming back home. Let's tackle this together." With the Ilothian's assistance, the Vexari regained its confidence, and they worked side by side, navigating the complexities of the holographic system. As the students collaborated, the atmosphere shifted from competitive to cooperative, showcasing the importance of teamwork. Days turned into weeks as they poured their energy into the simulation project. They designed various environments: tropical waters, dense jungles, and arid deserts, each habitat featuring a unique set of creatures with their own communication methods. Zara was impressed by their creativity and dedication. Finally, the day of the simulation arrived. The classroom buzzed with excitement as students finalized their setups, eager to see their hard work come to life. Zara gathered everyone together. "This is not just a competition. It's an opportunity to learn from each other. Embrace the challenge." As they activated the holographic projectors, vibrant landscapes materialized around them. Students gasped in awe as they stepped into their simulated worlds, where holographic creatures darted, slithered, and glided through their respective habitats. Each team showcased their simulations one by one. The Quarixian's underwater habitat featured an array of bioluminescent creatures communicating through color changes and light patterns. The audience watched, entranced, as the interactions played out, showcasing both cooperation and conflict. The Ilothian and Vexari's desert scenario highlighted the intricacies of survival communication among venomous snakes, demonstrating how subtle movements and body language conveyed messages of dominance and submission. As the final team presented their jungle habitat, Zara felt a swell of pride for her students. They had taken their lessons and transformed them into something meaningful and impactful, showcasing their growth and understanding. After the last presentation concluded, Zara applauded, her heart full. "You've all done incredible work. This isn't just about winning. It's about understanding and embracing our differences. You've shown that communication is key, whether among creatures or within our team." As they celebrated their accomplishments, Zara knew this experience had fortified their bond. They were no longer just students in a classroom. They were allies, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding. Together, they had navigated challenges, embraced fears, and emerged stronger than ever, ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store for them. As the final presentations concluded, a palpable sense of achievement washed over the classroom. The students basked in the glow of their success, laughter and chatter echoing through the space as they celebrated their hard work. Zara felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had grown not only as learners but as a community of explorers, united in their curiosity. "Before we wrap up, I have an announcement," Zara began, calling for everyone's attention. "You've all shown incredible growth and teamwork. I believe we're ready to take this experience to the next level. We have an opportunity to participate in the Intergalactic Youth Science Expo." Gasps of surprise filled the room. "The expo?" the Quarixian exclaimed, its eyes wide with excitement. "That's a chance to present our work to beings from all over the galaxy." "Exactly," Zora replied, grinning at their enthusiasm. "It's a platform where we can showcase our simulation on interspecies communication and our journey of understanding. We'll have the chance to connect with other young scientists and learn from them, just as we have from each other." The room erupted in applause, energy surging through the group. They had faced fears and overcome challenges, and now they had an exciting goal to rally around. Zara felt a wave of pride as her students began brainstorming how to enhance their presentation. "We could add live demonstrations," the Vexari suggested, its skin glowing with inspiration. "We could create a mini habitat for some of the creatures we studied." "I love that idea," the Alathian agreed. "And we can incorporate interactive elements that allow the audience to engage with our findings. Maybe even use augmented reality to bring the creatures to life." The planning sessions that followed were filled with creativity and innovation. They collaborated tirelessly, drawing on each other's strengths. The Ilithians' technical skills blended seamlessly with the Quarixians' insights into creature behavior, while the Vexari's artistic flair elevated their visuals. As the day of the expo approached, Zara watched her students transform. They were no longer the hesitant individuals who had walked into her classroom weeks earlier. They had become confident presenters, skilled collaborators, and passionate advocates for understanding across species. On the day of the expo, they arrived at the grand venue, a bustling hub of activity. Bright banners representing various species and planets hung from the ceiling, and excited chatter filled the air. The sight was awe-inspiring, a testament to the diversity of knowledge and innovation from across the galaxy. Zara led her students to their designated booth, adorned with their interactive displays and the mini-habitat they had created. As they set up, the students exchanged nervous glances, but Zara placed a reassuring hand on the Ilithian's shoulder. "Remember, you're not just presenting facts. You're sharing your journey, your understanding, and your passion. Let that shine through." As the doors opened, visitors flooded the venue, each eager to explore the various exhibits. Zara's students greeted guests with enthusiasm, demonstrating their simulation and engaging in conversations about interspecies communication. They shared stories of their challenges and successes, weaving their experiences into a tapestry of knowledge. Throughout the day, they encountered students from other planets, each sharing their unique perspectives and findings. The exchanges were invigorating, and Zara watched her students thrive in these discussions, embracing the diversity of thought and experience. As the event wound down, Zara gathered her students together, their faces flushed with excitement and fatigue. "You all did an incredible job today. You've not only showcased your hard work, but have also built connections with young scientists from all over. Remember that understanding and collaboration can bridge any divide." With smiles on their faces, they reflected on the day. "I never expected to learn so much from others," the Quarixian admitted. "This experience has opened my eyes to the value of different perspectives." "Me too," the Ilothian added. "It's amazing how much we can achieve when we work together." As they packed up their booth, Zara felt a deep sense of pride for her students. They had embarked on a journey that transcended their initial fears, transforming them into allies committed to understanding the world around them. As they left the expo, the stars above twinkled brightly, a reminder of the vast universe that awaited them. Together, they had not only conquered their fears, but had also forged a bond that would last well beyond their time in the classroom. Zara knew that this was just the beginning of their adventures, and she couldn't wait to see where their curiosity and courage would take them next.